Yes. Yes, I'm here. I have all the breaking news. I have all the breaking news on this show that you can handle. Twitter is going, I don't know. The breaking news is about Twitter because apparently like 75% of the employees just left. So I'll cover that. We'll also talk about what's in the title, but the title is just to get you tuned in. Then after that, it won't be disappointing to you. No, but is Hunter going to Gitmo? You decide. Ask QAnon. I was just reminded of the QAnon days. They're investigating him, though. They're investigating Hunter Biden. That's why it's in the title. So I have that announcement. There's also another announcement today, a big one. Miss Pelosi, the stock trader, is not going to be Senate or the leader for the Democrats anymore. So she announced it. So it's like the end of an era. So she's just going to focus on trading stocks, probably, which was kind of her main job. Bitcoin's pumping. We think crypto is going to come back. We're not doom and gloom about cryptocurrency, but there is doom and gloom out there about the economy. Jeff Bezos says it's going to crash. Jeff Bezos says he says save your money. I think Jeff Bezos might be running for president. We're a few days into Donald Trump's campaign to be the next president. We've addressed it on the last few shows. People are divided over whether they want him to run or not. Even QAnon, from what I hear. That's when I realized, I was like, oh boy. If he doesn't have QAnon on his side, then I'm concerned for Trump. But I noticed not everybody who used to be on his side is on his side this time around. So we can talk about that too. All right. So I have, so let's see. I have to tell you about the breaking news at Twitter. There's a new article about Elon Musk that came out today. It looks like Elon Musk might be screwing with somebody who shared the article, which says that he wants to repopulate the world. Oh, now I can't even read it. Which says he wants to repopulate the world with his seed. So that's the gist of it, at least. People are saying, or somebody wrote that he's a big fan of Genghis Khan because a lot of us are related to Genghis Khan because he had so many babies. So that's the report. I'll show you that. Kari Lake, there's an update from Kari Lake. You guys know, I hope you guys didn't lose too much money on the election. I bet so you don't have to. I just do that because it's like, oh, it's okay to make predictions, but you actually want to put something on the line when you make a prediction. So I thought Kari Lake would win, and she didn't. And now that she didn't, she's saying, well, she's making a case for why there were problems with the voting. So I'll play you her latest announcement, I guess you can call it, and a little bit of what she's sharing. So I think the race is over. I think she lost. The lessons I've taken away from the election is that Trump isn't good for elections, for winning elections. That's the lesson I took away, rather than that it was stolen. But she's saying kind of, that it was. And a lot of people are saying it was. And like, I should think it was stolen because when you bet on something and it doesn't go your way, then usually you think, oh, I was cheated. But I kind of feel like the election went way different than I expected it to. I just expected there to be a lot more Republican support than was showing up in the polls because people were being so demonized and everything was going the Republicans' way. I mean, the economy, Joe Biden's approval rating, it seemed like everything was lining up for Republicans to win. So that's what I bet on. And yeah, didn't work out. Didn't work out. And I think, well, it seems like people are going away. Even Newsmax is going away from the stolen election narrative because they find that I don't think it wins elections. That's the thing. It's like not a great strategy because even if you're right, or even if you're right, then it encourages people not to vote too. That's the problem. Is let's say you're right and it is rigged, and you tell people that, then they just think, oh, well, it's rigged, so I might as well not vote. And then you can lose from that too. So better overall to say, oh no, elections are great and vote, vote, vote. In fact, vote harder and everything will be fine. That's what they want you to do. They want you to participate, whichever side you're on, because they want your consent. That when you vote, you give your consent over to be ruled by the people you vote for. You're saying, I consent for you to rule over me. Kind of. That's what people say. I still think voting is not, I don't think it's totally bad, but I'm not going to do it just because I'm told I have to. I'm not going to pick between two terrible candidates just because somebody says I have to. No, I'm not going to do that. But I will vote when I care. I didn't vote for Trump either time. But I would vote for DeSantis so far. All right, I'll play my intro. You guys, you excited? I'll give you the news. Thanks for joining me for the show. I'll show you all of the latest things that are happening. You're going to get it all right here. All right, let's see. Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. I bring you the news, the real news. Yes, the real news, and like even stuff that's not considered real news. Like I'll cover the election thing because I know people are thinking it. I see over in the chat on Rockfin, Billiam says it's impossible that Kari Lake lost. So is it impossible? I don't know. I really don't know. If she got cheated, then you'd expect, since she was the leading election denier, that she would find out about it. But the polls were pretty close. So she didn't necessarily totally underperform what the polls were, because the polls showed that it was close. The betting odds said that she was the odds-on favorite, especially as it got closer to the election. The mainstream media said that Katie Hobbs wasn't doing enough. They criticized her in the mainstream media for not debating Kari Lake. Katie Hobbs oversaw the election process where she was part of the election. So that's shady. And there were maybe some irregularities with the election or some issues with the election. Machines didn't work, so forth, in Maricopa. So here's Kari Lake from today. She posted this today, and she says she's still going to fight. So let me play that for you. I'll play that. See?
Hey, Arizona, Kari Lake here. I wanted to reach out to you to let you know that I am still in this fight with you. For 2 years, I've been sounding the alarm about our broken election system here in Arizona, and this past week has confirmed everything we've been saying. When we called for Katie Hobbs to recuse herself over a year ago, they ridiculed us. It turns out we were right. The fox was guarding the hen house, and because of that, voters have been disenfranchised. When we raised concerns, and I filed a lawsuit months ago to get rid of the electronic voting machines, they said we were crazy. Well, it turns out we were right. On election day, nearly half of all polling locations had problems with tabulating machines and printers. Malfunctioning tabulation machines forced voters to wait in line for hours to exercise their sacred right to vote. I talked to voters who waited in line for hours. One man told me he went to a location and there was a 3-hour line because the tabulators weren't working. He drove 15 miles to another location and the printers weren't working. He drove another 15 miles and was finally able to cast his vote, but he's not sure it counted. Our election officials failed us miserably. What happened to Arizonans on election day is unforgivable. Tens of thousands of Maricopa County voters were disenfranchised. Now, I am busy here collecting evidence and data. Rest assured, I have assembled the best and brightest legal team, and we are exploring every avenue to correct the many wrongs that have been done this past week. I'm doing everything in my power to right these wrongs. My resolve to fight for you is higher than ever. This movement started in Arizona and it quickly expanded to all 50 states. It's a movement of mama bears and papa bears and students and Arizonans who love this country, who want secure borders, who want schools that prepare their children for the real opportunities that are out there. It's a movement of Arizonans who want safe streets once again and want the drug crisis to come to an end. It's a movement of Arizonans who want prosperity and the pursuit of happiness. That movement is stronger than it ever has been. And I can promise you one thing: this fight to save our republic has just begun. I love you, Arizona, and I love you, America.
What do you think? I think so. She's thrown her support behind Donald Trump. She has like the right personality. She was popular. She got at least half the vote in Arizona. So that's good, even though she was called an election denier, and even though she had all that stuff theoretically maybe working against her, she still pulled off, 50% about of the vote. So she's not a bad candidate overall, but I think, and she said, I love you, Arizona. And then I think she said something like, I love you, America, or something, America. She said Arizona, then she said America, which means she's thinking about a national campaign. She'd be a good vice president pick, probably. But if I had to advise her, I don't know, after the last election, oh man, I don't want to like lose people. And you guys are cool, Trump supporters. Like, I'm sorry, I'm hard on you sometimes, and I say things about you. I'm sorry. And I appreciate that you're willing to listen to somebody with a different opinion. I appreciate that. I understand why Trump is popular. I understand why people like Trump. But I think to win, you need to dump Trump. I think to win, the last election proved that you'd want to run away from Trump. So I'd like Kari Lake to continue to be a politician. She seems cool otherwise, but I think she should, for her own benefit, just say, oh yeah, like, just, you know how they do it. People just start to distance themselves. I think it's time to distance yourself. Even Ivanka is doing it. You know what I mean? Like, even Ivanka's says she's tired of it. That's not a good sign. So here's like so she just posted a bunch of these. Kari Lake did. bunch of people complaining about the election process, that it took a long time to vote, that their vote might not have counted, etc. And obviously that happened. Like everybody knows that happened. So I'll play one of these. She posted a number of these stories of people who had problems voting. So here's one of them.
My name is Steve Handelin. At 5:30 in the morning on November 11, I was number 9 in line at the Anthem Outlet Center for voting. One of the tabulators was broken, and the other tabulator kept rejecting everyone's votes. I saw a lot of people whose second and third votes did not get through, and when I left, there were still probably a block and a half or 2 blocks of people waiting in line at 7:15 in the morning. My name is Steve Handelin.
Right. So there's one story. So it's not fraud that she's alleging. Basically, she's alleging problems with the voting process, which I think almost everybody can say that nobody wants. It shouldn't be hard to vote. I don't think it should be that difficult to vote. People shouldn't have to wait in line for hours. I don't think anywhere. In California, for some reason, we don't have lines. Like they have lots of different places you can go vote, but then they take a month to count. I guess I don't know why, but here we don't have lines. We have polling centers everywhere. So I can't imagine having to wait in line to vote. It would just make me think about whether it was really worth my time, because you have to think to yourself, is your vote going to be the tie-breaking vote? Like, is your vote going to make the difference? That's what I think, just practically. I think, what is my vote going to do? Is it going to come down to my vote, or did everybody else already decide before I did anything? Because I voted for things. This time, it didn't work. Like the things that I voted against, they still passed. So makes me disillusioned just in general. But they say California and New York actually won the House. So Republicans did win the House. Oh, okay, good. So Republicans did win the House, which is important. You say it means elections are important, even in New York and California, where I guess some Republicans won. And the House is now Republican, and that means that they're going to start investigating Hunter Biden. And that's why the title says, is Hunter Biden going to Gitmo? Because I figured that's like what QAnon would say. And it used to be really popular to talk about QAnon. I was thinking of doing hashtag QAnon. Back in the day, before you were born, there was this thing called QAnon, and it was the biggest thing on the internet. And it seems like maybe it's died off a little bit, but it was the biggest thing. If you wanted to make a popular YouTube channel for a second, talk about QAnon, there are a bunch of people doing it too. Jordan Sather. But then there were a bunch more. There was, oh man, trying to think of all the different characters. Jerome Corsi, even Alex Jones talked about it. Then he said he hadn't talked about it. He talked about it. QAnon, the plan to save the world, because they're going to flush out the deep state, because Trump was going to come in and flush out the deep state. And because of QAnon, people thought Trump was going to be president. Half because of QAnon, or because of people who are like QAnon adjacent. They thought Trump was actually going to be president after he apparently lost the election. Because of things like QAnon, people thought he actually won and was actually going to be president, and that was actually going to get overturned and stuff. That actually happened. Even though it was clear that he wasn't going to, people thought that he was. Let me show. Here's the Republicans announcing the probe into Hunter Biden. Okay. I should play that.
Report, or SAR, is a document a bank must file with the Treasury Department when a transaction is suspected to be related to money laundering or fraud or other types of criminal activity. According to media reports, the Biden family accumulated over 150 SARs. One SAR generated by an American bank to the Treasury Department connects Hunter Biden and his business associates to international human trafficking, among other illegal activities. The money that was being made from foreign principals in the same room as Joe Biden was increasingly spent on furthering illegal activity. The SARs show that Hunter Biden was conducting business with suspected human traffickers. The money gained through influence peddling was funneled to a suspected criminal enterprise, again, one linked to human trafficking. We have repeatedly called on the Biden Treasury Department to release additional financial documents to committee Republicans, but thus far Treasury has refused. We want to know what the Biden administration is trying to hide from the American people and why they are not being transparent. We also found evidence Hunter Biden sought to evade these SARs using his financial advisor, coincidentally a Clinton administration official. We will continue to pursue all evidence, and specifically the SARs and bank records in the new Congress. As part of our investigation, we have evidence that the finances, credit cards, and bank accounts of Hunter and Joe Biden were commingled, if not shared. And on some accounts, at least, red flags were raised by banks to the account owner or owners indicating suspicious or illegal activity. One of Hunter's closest associates, Eric Sherwin, was accessing Joe Biden's money and writing checks to reimburse Hunter. Sherwin arranged the Biden's international deals around the world. At the same time, he was a frequent visitor to the White House and Joe Biden during the Obama administration, visiting close to 30 times and sometimes with international business partners and Hunter, according to Hunter's calendar.
All right. Yeah, wow. It sounds like they got some stuff on there. Somebody tweeted out, I think RNC tweeted out today, that Joe Biden is the big guy, and that you would understand what that means. Joe Biden is the big guy in the emails who gets 10%. 10% for the big guy. That's from the laptop that was suppressed. But now the Republicans are in control of the Congress. It makes a difference because they run all the committees. They decide all the investigations. They decide what comes up for a vote. That's the way the House works. When you're in control, even if you're only controlled by a little bit, then you actually control everything. Would have made a difference if they could have won the Senate too. But it looks like, yes, they definitely lost the Senate, partially because of the race in Arizona. They lost in Nevada. They lost in Pennsylvania. And maybe going to lose in Georgia. I have a clip of Herschel Walker that's making the rounds. I have a clip. Let me play this clip of Joe Biden. Joe Biden was involved in his family's foreign business dealings. So, I mean, I really believe that Joe Biden was involved in Hunter Biden's businesses. So that much seems to be clear. So they're going to be able to show that probably in hearings. So is he going to Gitmo? Maybe not Gitmo, but are all the criminals going to jail? Well, it's closer than before. More chance than before. Not because of Trump exactly, but more chance than before because of democracy. Okay, here's Joe Biden. This is a video that says Joe Biden was involved in his family's foreign business dealings.
His son, Hunter, joining the then vice president on the official visit to Beijing. Unknown to the press back then, Hunter Biden was forming a Chinese private equity fund, planning to raise money, including from Chinese investors. 10 days after the Biden's trip, Shanghai authorities issued the fund's business license.
Then Vice President Joe Biden had dinner with his son Hunter, along with Hunter's business associates from Ukraine, Russia, and Kazakhstan. And the day after the dinner, a Burisma executive sent a note to Hunter, quoting, "Dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me to D.C. and giving an opportunity to meet your father and spend some time together."
Hunter's lucrative business dealings often included giving as much as 50% of his earnings to his dad.
The text read, quote, "I hope you all can do what I did and pay for everything for this entire family for 30 years. It's really hard, but don't worry. Unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half your salary.
And Hunter introduced me as this is Tony, Dad, the individual I told you about that's helping us with the business that we're working on and the Chinese.
The email reads this way, quote, "At the moment, there's a provisional agreement that the equity will be distributed as follows. 10 held by Hunter for the big guy."
I 1,000% sit here and know that the big guy is referencing Joe Biden. I met with the former vice president in person multiple times.
A newly revealed text message shows Bobulinski was apparently warned by business partner James Gillier, "Don't mention Joe being involved. It's only when you are face to face. I know you know that, but they are paranoid."
Chinese executives admitted to reporters that they were actually introduced to the vice president by Hunter Biden.
Hunter and the then vice president seen with a pair of Mexican billionaires. At the same time, Hunter had been working on energy deals in Mexico.
Joe Biden also had Hunter and his business partner fly on Air Force Two to Mexico.
The president agreed to pay Hunter Biden's legal fees for his business dealings with a Chinese-controlled company. Hunter's assistant reportedly telling a pair of Biden aides, quote, "I spoke with Hunter today regarding his bills. It is my understanding that Hunt's dad will cover these bills in the short term."
There is photographic evidence of Biden on a golf outing with both his son Hunter and a man called Devin Archer, who was another member of the Burisma board.
We also know that Devin Archer in that picture had a meeting in the White House, one-on-one meeting with Joe Biden about a week before they joined the Burisma board.
His closest business partner, Hunter's, made at least 19 visits to the White House and other official locations, including a sit-down with then Vice President Joe Biden in the West Wing.
I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period.
There you go. That's pretty good video. So that's the kind of stuff that might come out in these hearings. You have that Tony Bobulinski character who spoke out before and confirmed that the emails were real and everything. So Hunter Biden investigations to get started soon. That's what's going on in the Congress. And then the other thing going on in Congress is Nancy Pelosi stepped down. I have that video. I have video of Tulsi Gabbard today too, talking about trans kids. So I always bring you guys interesting video from Tulsi. Here's Nancy Pelosi saying she's not going to be a speaker anymore, apparently. I think I have that for you. So let me show you Nancy Pelosi stepping down. All right, here we go. Let's see.
My friends, no matter what title you all, my colleagues, have bestowed upon me, speaker, leader, whip, there is no greater official honor for me than to stand on this floor and to speak for the people of San Francisco. This I will continue to do as a member of the House, speaking for the people of San Francisco, serving the great state of California, and defending our Constitution. And with great confidence in our caucus, I will not seek re-election to Democratic leadership in the next Congress. My friends, no matter what title.
A momentous announcement that she's not going to seek leadership this time. So Nancy Pelosi is out. Now, I have some people making comments about QAnon. People a reminder about, yes, Tracy Beans. And also Isaac Cappy was into QAnon. He died believing that JFK Jr. was coming back. Honestly, he thought JFK Jr. was coming back. That didn't happen yet. Didn't happen yet. But yeah, I don't know where all the QAnon influencers went. It's always good to keep up with them, though. It was quite a thing. But it is surprising to me, or it is concerning for Trump that apparently they don't support him anymore. Okay, so I'm going to show you showed you the Kari Lake stuff. She's disputing the election. Some people think the election was stolen in Arizona. Here's the other race here's the remaining Senate race. People are sharing this video about from Herschel Walker. He's the candidate in Georgia that's running on the Republican side. And some people say he's dumb. Even Dave Chappelle said he was dumb. That's the knock on him. So here's some video that people share of Herschel Walker telling a story. So here's Herschel Walker. He is the candidate for Senate. And remember, we already had one brain damaged, I should say, candidate win. So it's possible. Let me play this clip.
I want to tell you to keep the faith. Oh, you ever watch a stupid movie late at night hoping it's going to get better, don't get better, but you keep watching it anyway? Because the other night I was watching this movie. I was watching this movie called Freak Night, or some type of night, but it was about vampires. I don't know if you know vampires are some cool people, are they not? But I'm going to tell you something that I found out. A werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that? I never knew that, so I didn't want to be a vampire anymore. I wanted to be a werewolf. But then anyway, as I'm watching this movie, and then you can tell how stupid it is because it's 1 a.m. So I'm watching my TV. These kids watching their TV, vampire kill on their TV. So you know it's kind of stupid, but I'm still watching though. As I'm watching this show, what was funny, these kids had a vampire in their attic at their house. So they were watching their TV. Now I'm watching my TV as they watching their TV, or they see the vampire killer on their TV. So they win this contest to bring this actor. Now y'all got to stay with me. Bring this actor who's a vampire killer from that TV to get rid of this real life vampire in their attic. So as this actor comes to their home, he got all the right stuff. He got all the right stuff because, you know, got to have a stake and got to have a thing to kill him in the heart. And he got a necklace of garlic because that worked. I don't know what it does, but it worked. You got to have a cross because it burned. I know that worked. And then all of a sudden, this is what was so funny about it. As they're walking through the house, this guy's got the holy water. He's blessing the house, this actor. Now, he's all fake. He's blessing the house with his holy water. They walked upstairs and this vampire looking real good in this black suit. Whoa, that sounds like Senator Warnock, doesn't it? Looking all good in this black suit, floated from the ceiling. He floated from the ceiling looking good and cool. And I'm thinking, whoa, they better get out of that house. If somebody float from your ceiling, get out of that house. That's not your house. But as he floated from the ceiling, the kids jumped behind their hero. As they jumped behind their hero, the guy jumped in front of him with this holy water, threw it on the vampire's forehead. He covered his eye. And he took his hand away. He started laughing. And he said, that don't work. He took the cross, he put it on the vampire's forehead. And the vampire didn't even do anything. He said, that don't work. And that's the way it is in our life. It doesn't work unless you got faith. It is time for us to have faith. We got to have faith in our fellow brother. We got to have faith in this country. We got to have faith in the elected officials. And right now, that's the reason I'm here. Because God...
That's good. I didn't know where he was going with the story. I hadn't watched the whole video. The story is that you got to have faith. Like the vampire killing tools don't work. I get it. I get where he's going with it. Is he a dumb guy? I don't know. The story was kind of silly. People are making fun of him for it. But I get it. You got to have faith. Otherwise, the holy water doesn't work and the cross doesn't work if you don't believe in it. So it's just like lift the veil. If you believe in it, it will continue to exist. If you support the show, then there's an even better chance that it will continue to exist. So if you enjoy the show, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil, and you can leave me a coffee there, and you can leave a note. You can also leave super chats, but YouTube takes more and they demonetize everything. So buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. You can support the show there. And sometimes I do extra show if I get some coffees. So thanks for that. Also on Rockfin. You can tip on Rockfin anytime, even after the show's over. And also check out our t-shirts at truthclothing.io. I'm wearing a propaganda hoodie today. Check it out. See that? Check that out at our store, truthclothing.io. All right. So I showed you guys the Senate race. Showed you guys what's going on with Kari Lake. You guys know the Republicans won the House. So should I talk about Elon Musk? Oh, in the political horse racing news, Donald Trump, DeSantis is starting to catch up with Trump in the polls. So, which was something that wasn't happening before. So, according to the latest polls, DeSantis's support is up almost double from where it was, where he was getting 18% of the vote for people who want to vote, who say they're going to vote for the 2024 nomination. He went from getting 18% and Trump having 56% to DeSantis getting 33% of the potential vote now. And he hasn't declared yet. And that's a lot that it's gone up. Since May, he was only at 8% in May. And now in November, he's at 33% DeSantis. And if you look at the betting odds, let's see, right now, the odds for president to be the next president, this is an interesting bet too. The odds to be the next president, DeSantis leads. I'll show you. DeSantis leads, tied with Joe Biden as odds-on favorites to be the next president. And then Donald Trump is down a little bit from there. DeSantis and Biden are at 31 cents. Trump is at 23 cents. And then Newsom is next at 11 cents. So people think DeSantis has a good chance, but to win the nomination, to win the Republican nomination, DeSantis is also favored now. He wasn't before, right here. DeSantis is now the favorite, odds on, to win the presidential nomination for GOP. I think that's kind of a good bet. I kind of might want to make it. I don't know whether to bet on him to be the presidential nominee or him to be president or just Trump not to be president. One way or another, I think it's hard for Trump to win, but DeSantis, I think, could. All right, and right now, Democrats are favored to win the Georgia Senate race. And in Arizona, people are still betting on Kari Lake to possibly win, but mostly they've decided that it's all over. Let's see. Yeah, if you want to support the show, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. You can leave a note. All right, check this out. So this was a story about, so Elon Musk, things are going on over at Twitter. Apparently everyone's gone. Like Elon Musk put out a directive that people had to be all in and work really hard if they wanted to stay with the company, and they had to respond by 5 p.m. today. And everyone decided they didn't feel like working that hard and they'd rather just quit. So apparently that's what's going on right now. So maybe I'll show you that. Let me see. So apparently mass resignations are underway at Twitter. So we're going to find out. I think the website can run without that many people. We're going to find out, though. We're going to find out. Apparently, they might have lost like another 3/4 of the employees. So it's like really serious. Here, I'll show you this. Mass resignations underway at Twitter as Elon's deadline to decide whether or not employees want to stay and work. So people had to decide whether they wanted to stay and work long hours at high intensity or leave. They had to decide by today. And so I could have maybe predicted this. People don't want to work harder. People really don't want to work that hard. I mean, that's what's going on in the world. People still think it's easy to get a job. These people are going to find out that they've decided to quit a job at a very difficult time, possibly. But apparently people gave these emojis in chat when Elon Musk was talking to people at the end of the day, and a bunch of people left. It says on this tweet, which is just from an hour ago, that Twitter staff estimate roughly 75% of people have left their position after the email went out. The 3,700 people. So that means like everybody, almost everybody's gone. This is reporting several critical infrastructure engineering teams at Twitter have resigned. And an engineer says you cannot run Twitter without this team. So we're looking at an existential moment apparently for Twitter. So I just have this theory. I don't know. Maybe it really needs engineers. But I know there are clones of Twitter that are running right now that probably don't have that many employees, like Truth Social and Gab and what's the other one? Parler. I think they're probably running with not that many employees, and they're running a site that looks like Twitter and basically does the same thing. So my theory about Twitter is that it runs itself. It seems to me it's just a platform where people post things and then the algorithm decides how to push them out to people. But it's mostly an algorithm that runs the website. So I would think it could just, keep running. And that the only thing you need humans for is to make sure that the wrong things don't trend. But I don't know. I see hashtag Twitter down trending, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's down. I was using it all day. Ever since Elon Musk took over, really, I don't know. I haven't noticed a huge difference. I have been getting more followers, but I don't get that many. Since I got the check mark, I don't notice a huge advantage. And they're still banning pro-Palestine accounts. It seems like I read that today, that some pro-Palestine account was banned, and they still don't have Trump on the platform yet. So I don't know what's taking so long getting Trump back and the people that got kicked off back. I thought the main reason for him taking over was for all the people that got banned. So I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for people to actually be brought back onto the website. So not happened yet. I mean, I'm no Elon Musk. I just don't know. I mean, let's see if he knows what he's doing. I could have predicted that people wouldn't want to work harder because I think he expects that everyone has the same motivation as him. Like everybody else wants Twitter to be the best as much as Elon Musk wants Twitter to be the best. Like all of the employees. But I bet the employees are mostly thinking, I'll do as little as possible to keep collecting a paycheck. Just like I think probably most employees think. I know they say that's quiet quitting, but I think that's normal, that people just do as little as possible so that they don't get fired. And so when they heard that they'd actually have to do more and work harder, they probably thought, nah. And then they don't even like Elon Musk that much. They're just like, meh, peace out. And so that's what's going on right now. We'll see if, I don't know. I see the different things trending on my screen right now. I see Twitter, hashtag Twitter down trending. I see wait, is Twitter something? So it's theoretical that it's an existential moment for Twitter. I mean, theoretically, it could be. Maybe tomorrow it won't work anymore. Maybe there will be some catastrophe. So, Elon Musk, it just tweeted. I'll show you this because he just tweeted it. He said, "Do you know how to make a small fortune in social media? Start out with a large one." So there you go. So it sounds like he's having some problems with Twitter so far. And it seems like it takes all of his time. And I don't know how he has time to run his other companies at all. So this whole Twitter takeover, well, the censorship hasn't changed yet. They still censor stuff. People are still getting timeouts. So that's not different. And they haven't brought people back yet. So as a matter of fact, the check mark changed. Maybe some people aren't shadow banned anymore. Maybe. Can't prove it. But people say they aren't shadow banned anymore. But otherwise, don't know. Don't know what's changed. I mean, it is, I still use it. It's good. It's been good. It's been more interesting. More interesting things have been happening on Twitter. Elon Musk makes it interesting. But I haven't seen it's not like you can say whatever you want on there about whoever you want. And I'll show you, he might be messing with Ben Collins. Let me show you that. Ben Collins shared this story, which there was a story put out in Business Insider today about Elon Musk. Mama Bear says he's one of us. Yeah, you notice there's the people on Twitter who are just like, Elon Musk is the greatest. They just say all these things about, oh, Elon Musk is awesome, or people just want to defend him. No, I'm not going to defend him. I do think it's better. I do like Twitter better since he bought it. It has been more fun, mostly, but I'm not sure exactly what's changed. And he's still worried about advertisers leaving. This article came out today in Business Insider. It said, billionaires like Elon Musk want to save civilization by having tons of genetically superior kids inside the movement to take control of human evolution. So basically, I can't read the article because you have to pay for it. Actually, I should check on Internet Archive to see if I can read it. But this is part of it. It says that this is about Elon Musk. He has been open about his obsession with Genghis Khan, a 13th century Mongol ruler whose DNA can still be traced to a significant portion of the human population. One person who has worked directly with Musk and who spoke on condition of anonymity for this article recalled Musk expressing his interest in, as early as 2005, in populating the world with his offspring. So, which is what Jeffrey Epstein wanted to do too, with a baby farm. So there is something. Elon Musk, it does seem like he does want to impregnate as many women as possible. And I don't think he's necessarily doing a lot of fatherly things. He has a lot of money. So the kids are definitely not going to worry about money. I guess I wouldn't complain if I was Elon Musk's kid and I didn't get to see daddy much. But still, he is a interesting character. Anyway, Ben Collins shared this story and then reported that people who retweeted the story were automatically getting locked out of Twitter, like a bunch of people. And Ben Collins is one of these guys. He hates Elon Musk and has been talking shit about him a lot and just saying that Twitter is going to fail and that it's burning down and all this stuff. But meanwhile, he's popular on Twitter and uses it all the time. Well, anyway, he's saying that, and it seems true, that people who retweeted that story were suddenly locked out of their accounts. So he has like a whole inbox full of people who retweeted the story about Elon Musk being into Genghis Khan and then getting locked out of their accounts. So, which could be Elon Musk effing with Ben Collins. I could believe that. Ben Collins says he doesn't think he's being effed with, but I think he might be. Elon Musk doesn't like critical stories about him generally. So it could be he wasn't that happy about the story, and then Ben Collins is famous and he's sharing it. So then Elon Musk wanted to run a bot check, make sure people were human who were retweeting the story. It's possible. So that's all going on Twitter. Let me see. I can show you. I can show you how Newsmax. Oh, I wanted to play you Tulsi Gabbard. So Tulsi Gabbard talking about transgender kids. So, which is something that if I would tell people that it's an issue that you can talk about. I think the transgender kids issue, like I think it's an issue that most people kind of agree on, but are mostly afraid to talk about. So Tulsi Gabbard's going there. I know a lot of people are suspicious of Tulsi Gabbard. I just noticed she's not afraid to talk about controversial stuff. That's for sure about Tulsi. That's what you can definitely say about her. She's not afraid to talk about things that are controversial. And this is definitely a controversial topic. So I'll play you what she said on her, which I guess was on her podcast. So I'll play that for you. Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii.
According to a research paper that was recently published to the Journal of the American Medical Association Pediatrics, show that there has been a 389% increase in children receiving mastectomies from 2016 through 2019. I want to say that again. Children receiving mastectomies. The UCLA School of Law's Williams Institute published a study that found the number of transgender youth in America has doubled in just the past 5 years. And when you look at these statistics, you got to realize that this is not an accident. This didn't just happen. This is very intentional, and it's the consequence of this radical agenda that is being pushed on our kids. They're rejecting the existence of objective reality by rejecting this most fundamental truth of the differences between a biological male and female. Now, even as there are no long-term studies on the effects of these dangerous treatments on our kids, those in power in government and so-called medical professionals continue to push them. Many of the standard protocols that they are pushing include puberty blockers and hormones, some of which were just recently flagged by the FDA because of their plausible link to serious brain disorder, cognitive problems. Now, that hasn't stopped President Biden from going and telling parents that, quote, affirming your child's identity is one of the most powerful things you can do to keep them safe.
To parents of transgender children, affirming your child's identity is one of the most powerful things you can do to keep them safe and healthy.
You've got transgender U.S. Assistant Health Secretary Rachel Levine claiming these dangerous treatments actually empower our youth, and that any dissent, anyone saying otherwise, is driven by political motives.
Trans youth need to be supported. They need to be affirmed. They need to be empowered. There is no argument about the value and the importance of gender affirming care. There is no argument.
A lot of that is political. I think that there are people that are using transgender individuals as a wedge issue. And so that is precipitating some of the very challenging and difficult bills in many of the states.
This angers me so much because of who is being harmed by these people in the most powerful offices in this country. What they are saying could not be further from the truth. Now, the study from the International Review of Psychiatry found that 80% of those who identify as transgender and seek medical intervention eventually lose their desire to identify as the opposite sex. Countless so-called transgender youths have grown to deeply regret their decision, citing it as the worst mistake of their lives.
There you go. So she's talking about it. I think it's an issue that you can definitely talk about. So she's talking about it. Not many politicians are doing that right now so far. Not many. None I can even think of. So who is supporting what Tulsi Gabbard's saying? Gays Against Groomers are supportive of it, but she said 80% of transgender people who seek medical intervention eventually lose the desire to identify as the opposite sex. Woke lies by Biden administration, MSM, and radical activists encourage mutilating kids' bodies and minds under the guise of gender-affirming care are destroying countless lives, she said. So that happened for real. All right, so I have that clip. All right, I'm going to decide if I'm going to show you guys some more show, maybe take phone calls. Let me see if I got any coffees. You can support the show at buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. I'll check it out right now. And I'll check out Rockfin. Thanks over on Rockfin. Thanks, Fogan Filter. Appreciate it. Thanks, Billiam. And thanks to Luth Happ, who said, dude, you'd be proud of me. I finally got my wallet set up. Great. So you got your wallet set up. You've been on Coinbase for a while. Now you own it. Good for you, man. That's what you got to do. Yep. Crypto's gonna come back. You just have to know how to use it. Then you'll be safe. You'll be safe from the bankers. There's a picture going around of these speakers at a New York Times event. This is going around. I'll check my coffees in a second. Let me show you this. This picture is going around. They're about to have this event at the New York Times with Sam Bankman-Fried, Zelensky, Larry Fink, Janet Yellen. There's actually a bunch of other people too. But this person says, this looks like an event not to miss. You can see Zelensky, Sam Bankman-Fried, Larry Fink, and many more. In fact, there are many more, including Mike Pence and some others, the head of the New York Times, the head of Amazon. So some people might think this is anti-Semitic because they actually, yes, they are all Jewish. That's true. But that wasn't the intention of the meme. The meme was to show that they're evil, or that's what people think, at least. Sam Bankman-Fried, in particular, people are saying he was a psychopath. Zelensky, you could definitely make some arguments about him. Larry Fink, BlackRock, Janet Yellen, Department of Treasury. So, yes, they were. So that's still up, apparently, on the New York Times, that Bankman-Fried is going to be a speaker there. The other people, I mean, they haven't committed any massive frauds that we're aware of yet. Well, Zelensky, yeah, you could argue. As far as the money laundering goes, probably Zelensky did more of it, more billions of it, than Sam Bankman-Fried did. So, and he just tried to start World War III, which was amazing. World War II already happened, allegedly. So, all right, let me check my coffees. If you want, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. Grace and Love got 3 coffees, who says, I respect your ability to speak your mind while keeping your YouTube channel. That is some feat. You always remain objective, kind, and humble, even when you know you are right. I also love your subtle sarcasm. You make me laugh. Thanks, Grace and Love. That's really nice. And thanks, Rip the Veil. Says life is better with LTV to watch every day. Well, that's really nice to say too. Oh, you guys are cool. Somebody in the chat was saying I'm too slow, so I banned them. I was like, I don't need to listen to you. I can just listen to people who say nice things to me. So thank you, people who say nice things. That makes me feel like doing the show more. So let me see if I have any more news. Oh, yeah, I have this great clip about how disinformation, this is an old clip. Yes, since I got some coffees, I have extra material for you today. So, and you can still go there even after the show's over. buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. I'll play this clip for you since you guys are cool about how information is shared. Disinformation is shared through major newspapers and TV channels. This is an old clip from 1983. It was shared by Edward Snowden. So let me play that.
You briefed the press, did you not, when you were there? Well, I had several jobs. One of my jobs was that of analyst. I also was an interrogator and indeed briefed the press when we, the CIA, wanted to circulate disinformation on a particular issue. Disinformation is not necessarily a lie. It may be a half-truth. And we would pick out a journalist. I would go do the briefing and hope that he would put the information in print. For instance, if we wanted to get across to the American public that the North Vietnamese were building up their force structure in South Vietnam, I would go to a journalist and advise him, that in the past 6 months, X number of North Vietnamese forces had come down the Ho Chi Minh Trail system through southern Laos. Now, there is no way a journalist can check that information. So either he goes with the information or he doesn't, and ordinarily or usually, the journalist would go with it because it looked like some kind of exclusive. And I would say our percentage planning that kind of data was 70 to 80%. The correspondents we targeted were those who had terrific influence, the most respected journalists in Saigon, like Robert Chaplin of the New Yorker magazine, Kai's Beach of the Los Angeles Times from time to time, and also he worked for the Chicago Daily News. Bud Merrick of U.S. News and World Report, Malcolm Brown of the New York Times, even Maynard Parker of Newsweek magazine. We would go after these gentlemen. I would be directed to cultivate them, to spend time with them at the Caravel Hotel or the Continental Hotel, to socialize with them, and slowly but surely to try to gain their confidence by dolloping out valid information which was true. And then I would drop into a conversation the data that we wanted to get across, which might not be true. One piece of data, for instance, that we managed to plant in the New Yorker magazine had to do with a supposed North Vietnamese effort in 1973 to develop airfields along the border of South Vietnam. The reason we wanted to plant this information was that we were trying to persuade the U.S. Congress that Saigon should continue to get a great deal of aid, and that the North Vietnamese were the chief violators of the ceasefire accord. That was printed in the New Yorker magazine under the byline of Robert Chaplin, as indeed was a great deal of such information which we tried to circulate. If I planted a piece of information with a reporter, I would ordinarily then try to create an environment in which he could not check the information. I would go to the British ambassador and brief him on the disinformation I had just given the reporter. So when the reporter wanted to cross-check what I'd told him with, say, the British ambassador, New Zealand ambassador, or what have you, he would get false confirmation, the same message coming back at him, and he'd say, aha, I've got proof that Frank Snepp told me the truth, when in fact, what he'd gotten was simply an echo of what I'd given him in the first place, via the British ambassador or other of our friendly diplomatic contacts. I am, as an ex-CIA agent, opposed to the disinformation activities in which I was involved. I admit that I was involved, and I think it served no useful purpose. Propagandizing the American public or Congress is not the CIA's job.
There you go. So that's a clip about how disinformation is planted in the media by the intelligence agencies. So finally, let me show you this. The USA math, you might have heard that the math team for the USA beat the Chinese math team for the first time in 30 years. So here's a picture of the American math team. There's a picture of the American math team that beat the Chinese for the first time in 20 years. So there you go. That's your final piece of humor for today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks people who dropped me coffees over at buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody who supports the show. And what is today? Thursday. So I'll be back tomorrow. Sometimes I do the show a little early Fridays. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and that you hit the notification bell so that you're notified every time I go live. Because on Fridays, sometimes I go live a little early. It's possible I go live at 4:30 instead of 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next one. All right. So for now, that's what it is.